Pat, across America, young people are being turned away from from Christianity as some schools and universities question the validity of the Bible. But as Chris Mitchell reports, a new movie is out presenting strong evidence for the Bible's authority and one of its best-known authors.
The new film, Patterns of Evidence, The Moses Controversy, looks at a debate entering today's college classrooms.
The Moses controversy is really the question of, did Moses write the first books of the Bible? And for a lot of Christians, it's not a controversy at all. But as soon as you send your son or daughter off to college or university, they're going to hear a different story.
Film producer Timothy Mahoney says this lack of understanding is rampant in today's higher learning.
It's huge, the number of people in mainstream scholarship that don't believe that Moses was the author of the first books of the Bible. And so they're basically saying, well, this is just a beautiful piece of literature, but it's not real history.
And Mahoney says that's the issue.
The problem with that is that Jesus believes that Moses wrote the first books of the Bible. In fact, Jesus says, "For if you believe Moses, you would believe me, for he wrote of me. But if you do not believe his writings, how will you believe my words?"
Mahoney traveled thousands of miles and spent years investigating the Moses question.
What I realized is that if Moses doesn't exist and Moses didn't write these first books of the Bible, this impacts the rest of the Bible.
While many mainstream scholars cast doubt on the history and archaeology of Moses, Mahoney says he can show why they're wrong.
In fact, this film is going to show you Bible-affirming evidence that Moses had the ability to write the first books of the Bible.
With biblical values under assault in today's culture, Mahoney says his project can speak to both believer and skeptic.
Now, if you have a family member that doesn't believe, and you've been looking for an opportunity to bring them to something, such as, or to talk to them about the Bible, this film is a perfect tool for that because it's done very scientifically.
Mahoney says today's generations have doubts and ask tough questions.
But there are answers for these questions. We don't have to lose our sons and daughters, to skepticism.
Mahoney says in order to know God, people need to know his word, and he hopes his film will tie that understanding together.
It shows that this ability to do exactly what was commanded in the Bible fits the history and the archaeology, matches the Bible. The pattern of evidence fits.
Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Thanks, Chris. Patterns of Evidence, The Moses Controversy, will be in theaters across the country on March 14th, 16th, and 19th. You can go to cbnnews.com to find a theater near you. Pat, back to you.
Well, there's no question that the Israelites came out of Egypt. There's no question that this group of people was being persecuted by Pharaoh, and they had what was called the Exodus. And the leader of that Exodus was a man named Moses, who had been drawn from the waters. That's where the term came from. He was put in a basket by Pharaoh's daughter, and he was raised in the household of Pharaoh. And the Bible says he was trained in all the wisdom of the Egyptians. So he was a scholar, but he was also a warrior. And he grew up in Pharaoh's house. There's no doubt about that. And so then he went out and came back into Egypt later on, after many years in the wilderness, and he led the people then up into the Promised Land. There's nothing that would be contrary to the fact that he could have been the author of these books. Well, why not? I mean, one is a book of laws, another has to do with the history of the people, and you have a genealogical record of the births of the people. You read all that, and but Genesis goes back to the beginning, and then Exodus talks about coming out of Egypt. Well, why not Moses? I mean, who else could have done it? And it didn't detract in any way the fact that he was a living person. Everybody knows Moses, and there are a whole group of Jewish people who certainly believe in the books of the Bible. Then you've got the 10 Commandments that have been preserved through the years. The Hebrew text of the Old Testament is amazingly preserved. Every letter all the way through is scrutinized by scholars. And that record goes way, way back, and it's a good, authentic record. So I appreciate what these people are doing, but you know, scholars will do everything they can to distort the truth. That's what's so terrible.
Yeah. Well, and the whole education system has been infiltrated with that kind of doubt and really lack of understanding of all of this. So our kids are really in a compromised scenario.
The root, I keep talking about Teachers College at Columbia, but the Teachers College at Columbia was the source, and the man in charge of it was an atheist, a hardcore atheist, and they trained teachers over and over and over again and have infected the educational system of America. So you have some of the most virulent anti-Christians located in the educational establishment. And I'm pleased to report that Regent University right now is training a new generation of teachers, and they are taking positions of educational leadership all across the country. There's some dedicated, wonderful teachers, and but nevertheless, this Teachers College in Columbia, I think it's lost its impact of what it used to be, but nevertheless, it had a profound impact on the educational system.
Well, it sounds like this film is going to be something worthy of our time.
Absolutely.
And
so
significant.
I didn't get when it's going to be available.
Well, go to CBN.com because all of it is there. You can find out where it's going to be seen in your area. There is a limited viewing, but be sure to take advantage of that and support the film as well.